Here we are with a hands-on with the LG Optimus 4X HD. Now, I must start off by saying that this is a pre-production model and this one is in white. We can't confirm at this time whether the white version will be made available, but it's a fully working LG Optimus 4X HD and very close to the final device that we'll see launched. There might just be a few software differences. So without further ado, let's take a look at the device. So on the front here we can see we've got the large 4.7-inch TFT LCD capacitive touchscreen with a resolution of 1280 by 720. It's got 16 million colours and it has an NVIDIA graphics processing unit. Up the top here we've got the LG logo, we've got a speaker, we've got some sensors here, and then we've got the front-facing 1.3 megapixel camera for video calling. Down the bottom here we've got three touch-sensitive navigation buttons. We've got a back, home and menu key. This is a nice button configuration on here and I think it's a really nice touch to have the menu key. On the bottom of the device we've got the micro USB sync and charging port. We've got a microphone. On the side we've got this sort of silver bezel which runs all the way round the device, but no actual buttons here. Coming round to the top we've then got the power button. We've then got another microphone and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Coming round to the other side of the device, it's quite hard to see here, but we do have a volume up and down rocker key. It's actually not the most practical of buttons to use there because of the bezeling around the device. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. On the back we've got the LG logo, but then we have the 8 megapixel autofocus camera with LED flash which records video at full 1080p. We've then got a loudspeaker. We do have just at the bottom here a little recess and that allows us to remove the back cover on this device, and under the back cover we have a micro SD card slot that will support cards up to 32 gigabytes in capacity, and then we have a standard SIM card slot, not a micro SIM card slot, a standard SIM card slot. We then have the user removable battery, and that has a capacity of approximately 2000 milliamp hours, between 2050 and 2000 as the minimum. So a reasonable size battery on this device. It's got a big screen so it's going to eat through quite a lot of power. So let's switch this device on. Now as it powers up, let's run through some of the specifications. So under here we have a 1.5 gigahertz NVIDIA quad-core processor. So that's the same processor that we find on the HTC One X that's been receiving a lot of attention. Whilst it's a quad-core processor, it does have an extra core that manages battery life, and whilst there is a big battery in here, we mentioned that a lot of power be eaten up by the big screen. The extra core is designed to conserve battery life where possible, and the processor is intelligent enough only to use the appropriate cores when necessary. So for emails, text messages, it's just going to be using a single core, but if you're doing intensive gaming then it's going to ramp it up to the full quad core where possible. And as such the battery life shouldn't be as bad as one might think. So we've got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, GPS, it's Android 4 on here. We've got full 3G support on the 900, 1900 and 2100 megahertz frequencies. You've got DLNA on here and plenty of stuff to get you going, and you know this is a high-end handset. So here we are. Let's just unlock this. Now the experience here is very similar to a lot of other Android 4 ice cream sandwich devices. So we've got the different home screens that we can scroll through and customize as we choose. So for example I can press and hold, and then I've got the ability to add on applications, widgets or wallpapers. You've probably seen a lot of this on the Nexus videos, or if not, check out some of the other videos on our YouTube channel that goes through Android 4 in more detail. So we've then got the sort of applications on here. So you get your usual things from alarm clock through to an application manager. You've got your Gmail, your gallery, you've got your phone, your settings. So all fairly standard. You do get Polaris Office on here as well. You can sort of search through your application tray by going to apps or downloads or widgets, and then you've even got the option to do settings, so how the menu is configured and how it actually looks to yourself. Let's just go into the settings, and this is one of the nice things I like. If you come from previous versions of Android, on Ice Cream Sandwich or version 4, it's not so simple to get through to the settings menu because you don't have a dedicated button like you have of the past on a lot of the newer handsets. Some do, and this is one where you can actually press this sort of menu button here and get straight into the system settings, and we can go through and show you about the phone. So you can see that this is the LG P880 running version 4.0.3. We can then go in and look at some of the language options that we've got on this device. So if you're interested in that, just take a quick look now. So those are the default languages that you have for the actual menu system, but you also have different languages for the actual keyboard. And here are some of the languages that you have available. It's a much more extensive list. Okay, so let's go back to the home screen here. So you've got your Wi-Fi and everything like that, your Google Maps that you can see there. Let's just very quickly take you into the web browser to show you how that renders on a page. So if we search for Clove. So we're running over Wi-Fi here at the moment. It's defaulted to our mobile site, but let's go through to the full desktop view, and that will render quite nicely on the 4.7-inch screen that we have here. We can go into landscape orientation as well and scroll through the page. We can do the standard double taps. We can do the pinch and zoom as you'd come to expect. So let's just open up a product here just so we can see some text on a web browser page, and you can see what it looks like. So you probably could actually read that without zooming in, but you can you should be able to double tap or pinch and zoom in to read the text a little bit more clearly if you are struggling. So that's the web browser there. I'm just going to go into the camera here for you as well. So we've got an 8-megapixel camera with LED flash on here that records in 1080p. So we can orientate this in portrait and landscape mode, and all the sort of settings move around with you. You flick between the two modes with this button here, so we're now going into the video recorder. So let's just actually show this off. We've got the record button here on the screen. Now we don't actually have a physical camera button, but I have discovered that you can actually use the volume keys to start recording. So if I actually press volume key, it begins recording, and if I press it again, it stops recording. So whilst you haven't got a dedicated camera button, you can use the volume keys as an option. We've got settings in here from anything from the flash through to the video size, and there you can see we can go into full 1080 resolution. We've got different color effects. We can play with the white balance. We've got geotagging. We've then got some sort of things to play around with here for different effects on the video camera when you're videoing people. They're quite good fun. you've got exposure, you've got zoom. Now you have to do this prior to actually doing the video recording. You can't zoom during the video recording itself. You can then flick to the front facing camera and take video footage from the front facing camera, as well as taking still images as well. Now there's a little bit of lag there. I think that might just be down to this pre-production version that we've got on this device. So you can flick through and take images as you please, and because this is Android, you can connect it up to your computer and transfer images or use Twitter and Facebook links that are all available here. So let's go back into the actual camera application, and again we've got a lot of similar settings. We can change things such as the focus, the image size, so set at 8 megapixels there at the moment, different scene modes. We can change the ISO, white balance, timer. We've got more scene modes from panorama, HDR, continuous shot, so lots of nice options there, and a bit more over the basic camera application that you do get in Android devices as standard. Now it's quite difficult to tell on this video playback, but one of the things about this LG is the screen. It's really quite impressive. It's very close to the One X. I think the One X has the edge just, but the first time I played with this device and put on a video, I was extremely impressed with the screen. The colours seem vibrant, and in certain footage it almost looks like it's 3D and coming out at you. So let's just play a piece of video now for you to see this. The screen's up at full brightness. Just going to scroll through there, and I'll also put the volume up just so you can get an idea of the sound. Okay, so you get a little idea there. The actual speaker on the device is loud enough. It's not as loud as some might like it. So if you're playing music back, you might want to use headphones, but it's okay if you're just in a small environment and want a bit of sound. But it's difficult to tell there on the video, but this screen is exceptionally good. I was very impressed for an LG product. LG have a bit of a bad name, really. Their products aren't bad at all, but the 4X certainly has come along there in terms of the screen and the experience you get, and they provide you with some nice sample footage on the device here standard. Just quickly go into the messaging. So we've got a message here. We've started now. We've got the English keyboard, but we can flick through different languages that we may have selected from the settings menu, and we can write in those different languages. Of course, we can orientate into landscape mode with that as well if we choose. And then let's just take a look at the phone. So you've got a nice big on-screen dialer here. Fairly straightforward. The big screen makes light and easy work of making calls. The device does feel quite big in the hand, but solid and not overly big. It is something you can just about get away with one-handed use on. Personally, in comparison to the One X, I find this a little bit easier to use in one hand. The sort of squarer shape makes it a little bit easier, where the One X is sort of swooping sides and corners almost make it a little bit more slippy, and the back cover on the LG is a bit more grippy. So that's just a quick hands-on video of the LG Optimus 4X HD, available from clove.co.uk.